Good morning, everyone. As chairman of the commission, I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 10:06 a.m. This Zoom webinar is live streamed on YouTube on the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission YouTube channel. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they are currently using, please visit our social media at redistrictingmi. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. Closed captioning ASL interpretation, in addition to Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services, will be provided for effective participation in today's meeting. Please feel free to email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing these language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations should also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. Today's meeting is being recorded and will be made available on our website, www.michigan.gov/micrc for viewing at a later date. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those closed caption transcripts will be made available and posted on the website, in addition to written public comment submissions. There is also a public comment portal that may be accessed by visiting the website, which is once again, www.michigan.gov/micrc. Members of the media who may have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Executive Director for the Commission, at woodse3@michigan.gov. For the public watching and the public record, I will turn to Department of State staff to take note of the commissioners present.
Good morning, commissioners. When I call your name, please say present. If you're attending the meeting remotely, please announce during roll call that you are attending the meeting remotely, and unless your absence is due to military duty, announce your physical location by stating the county, city, township, and/or village and the state from which you're attending the meeting remotely. I will begin roll call alphabetically, beginning with Commissioner Andrade.
Here, attending remotely from Imlay Township, Michigan.
Commissioner Callahan. Commissioner Curry. Commissioner Eid.
Good morning, Ms. Young.
Morning.
Present and remotely attending from Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Kellum.
Good morning, present and attending remotely from Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Lang. Commissioner Lett.
County, Michigan.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Present, attending remotely from Grand Traverse County, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Muldoon.
Present from Carlton, Michigan.
Commissioner Orton.
Present, attending remotely from Battle Creek, Michigan.
Commissioner Zatella. Commissioner Vallette.
Present, attending remotely from Highland Township, Michigan.
Commissioner Wagner.
Present, attending remotely from Charlotte, Michigan.
Commissioner Weiss.
Present, attending remotely from Saginaw Township, Saginaw, Michigan.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum with 9 commissioners present.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Young.
You're welcome.
We'll now move to adopt the agenda. As a reminder to the public watching, you can view today's agenda on our website, www.michigan.gov/micrc. I'll now entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lett, seconded by Mr. Weiss, to adopt today's agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion, commissioners? Seeing none, we will move to vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve today's agenda, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted. Next on the agenda is item number 4, public comments. If there's no objection, commissioners, we will now begin today's public comment portion of the meeting. Is there any objections? Hearing none, we will proceed. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide remote public commentary to the commission will now be allowed. I will call your name and our staff will unmute you. If you are on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you are joining us via phone, a voice will say that the host wants you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. Please note if you're experiencing technical or audio issues, or we do not hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we will move on to the next person in line and return to you after they are done speaking. If your audio still does not work, you can email us at redistricting@michigan.gov and we will help you troubleshoot so you can participate during the next public comment period. Today, you'll have 90 seconds to address the commission, and please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer. We have 2 folks who signed up to speak today, the first being Mr. James Gallant.
Mr. Gallant, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
We cannot hear you yet, James. You're still muted.
Okay, well, why don't we come back to him after our other public comment participant and see if he's able to get it to work at that time.
Sounds good to me. James, I think your microphone is just muted. If you try to unmute it, we will come back to you. We'll move on to our second public commenter, Mr. Anthony Scannell.
Hi, thank you, Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, Anthony Scannell. And I'm looking at the agenda and I guess I'm looking at lessons learned. I definitely have some lessons learned in mind. And one of them would be probably, I think Mr. Gallant would agree with this, hire a parliamentarian, like a dedicated one. That's a person who's doing that and only that and has that as a expertise. I think for the next commission, that'd be highly recommended. You know, I'd make a lesson learned. I mean, maybe you wouldn't agree with this, but I would amend the rules for voting. It says when you have to, or when you abstain from voting, you have to state a reason, and only 1 of 2 reasons are given. And to me, that really makes no sense. You can abstain and just reserve the right for whatever reason. And so I would amend that rule. A lesson learned, I would agree with the Taylor City Councilman who said that he would have had a meeting downriver. I guess Wayne County, you had a lot in Wayne County, but none in downriver. So the next commission should do that. Another lesson I would learn is that the software vendors that you have operating the map making for you and whatever.
You can finish your thought, Anthony.
Oh, thank you so much. The software vendors, it would be helpful if, the person listening to you and changing the lines on the map was, I got the sense that the person wasn't from Michigan. Nothing against them. They did a great job, but it really slowed things down. They didn't know a dang thing. I mean, they didn't seem like they were from Michigan. If they were, they weren't familiar with Metro Detroit. So, the person changing the lines on the map, it'd be helpful if they were from there.
All right. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. I'd invite you to email us, exactly what you said, and maybe we can see if we can determine if we want to get some of those in the official report. We'll now turn back to Mr. Gallant.
Mr. Gallant, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Do we know if he's by phone or by computer today?
I do not know.
If it is phone, I believe it is *6 to unmute. If it is with the computer, just have to find the mute button. Give James another moment or so to see if he can get in here.
Hello, did you catch me that time?
There we go. Good morning,
Hey,
Mr. Green.
I had to change devices. Thank you very much for waiting. James Gallant, Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition. These are my opinions. Yes, and Mr. Scannella was right that we do need a parliamentarian. We need to get this worked out, this common law parliamentarian, common law thing that Mike Brady said. Must make a motion first, must second that first. And that is absolutely what you are not doing on purpose. And it seems like you're going to that as a default. And you need parliamentarian. I see that the Secretary of State did not do the roll call today as required by the Constitution. And as Mr. Woods, I think we need to get a determination on the public record for the YouTube chat, because that he said that it's not public record, but it's going to be archived, and then now we can't get that back. You can get that back just as the host. You can get that back online. Now, Mr. Eid, I'm going to ask you to help me to fix this and help everybody fix this, because I can tell you what's happening right now. You denied Juanita and Satella there when they tried to object when you did the unanimous consent. Okay, you refused. And then you let Fink facilitate when there was an objection. You did not vote on it. That makes you a dictator. This is why I'm here in suicide prevention. This is going to break your mother's heart. If we have to go to the Supreme Court, you are determined to be in not compliance with your oath of office and actually practice a different form of government, a dictatorship. Some other countries have that. You're right, but not this one. This is not. Your oath of office says you will, and Mike Brady said under the Constitution, it's the only reason he was there, for an explanation to you in the instructions. You must follow Robert's rules. You must make that motion second first. You can't do it otherwise. Some parts of Robert's rules don't apply. I think unanimous consent does not apply at public meetings under the Open Meetings Act and under our Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Gallant, for your comments. I do very much appreciate them. We'll now move on to item 5 on our agenda, unfinished business. Next is unfinished business item 5A, draft House and Senate Remedial Commission report. If there's no objection, I will ask Executive Director Woods to facilitate this item. Are there any objections, commissioners? Hearing none, Mr. Woods, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner Eid. Good morning, commissioners. This is just a reminder that the draft House and Senate Remedial Commission report is being put together, and that the descending reports are due Sunday, I repeat, Sunday, December 1st, so that we can provide this commission report to the commission, and then for the commission's vote on the 19th. So once again, those who are eligible to put in dissenting reports for the House or Senate Remedial Commission report, it is due Sunday. We'll have all the backup documentation in there and properly formatted. And this commission report is really based upon, as we all know, the remedial phase. So the commission did an initial report in 2022. This one right here will be dealing solely with the remedial phase in terms of how the maps were done. Once again, that will be voted on at the commission meeting on the 19th, but we do need all the dissenting reports in by the 1st. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Are there any questions for Executive Director Woods regarding the commission's remedial report? Well, I do not see any. Wonderful. Mr. Woods, do you have anything to say about the dissenting reports?
Nope, just once again reiterate they're due Sunday, December 1st. And they need to be emailed to myself and Megan Char with MDOS.
Wonderful. And those will then be distributed to the rest of us, correct?
Sure. As you know, there's no changing of the dissenting reports.
Mhm.
They go in as is, but yes, we will share them with everyone.
Great. I appreciate that. Okay, next on the agenda is item 5B, State of Michigan Archives. Once again, if there's no objection, I'll ask Executive Director Woods to facilitate this item. Are there any objections, commissioners? Hearing none, the floor is once again yours. Executive Director Woods.
Thank you again, Commissioner Eid. We have a dynamic archive team that's comprised of Commissioners Elaine Andrade, Cynthia Orton, and Janice Villette. And just want to share with you what we've been working on. One of the things that we have after the website and everything is actually getting the draft maps and the draft proposed maps that we can use for the archives. And so what we're doing in this particular area is we're working with Election Data Services as well as with Fred, with Citygate, to see if we can export those draft maps, which are PDFs, and draft proposed maps and anything associated with the plan attachments, so that we can put those on our website without people having to link to Citygate, so that they can be archivable and then we can use them. We spoke with the Library of Michigan, Cynthia Gehring, who made a presentation at our last meeting, and this process would also work well for them with regards to archiving it. And so that is something that we're really trying to get done. The next thing that we're working on is the archive interviews. We still have some outstanding interviews that need to happen. And then after that, there'll be we have to edit the interviews so that they can be for use. So that's where we are right now in the archives project, but it's moving along. And hopefully we should have substantial progress at our December meeting, where everything should be done and should be done that we need to do. The only follow-up would be what took place actually on the meeting on the 19th. Commissioners Andrade, Orton, and Villette, I don't know if I missed anything, but these are some dynamic ladies who will hold your feet to the fire. So if there's anything that I missed, please at this time share.
I think you covered it.
I'm good. I don't think there's anything else.
Yep, covered very well. Thank you, Edward.
Unless there's any questions, Commissioner E, we can move on to the next agenda item.
Thank you for the information. I look forward to seeing this archival process complete so that our work can be, standing in history for the state of Michigan. Next on the agenda is item 5C, Contract Best Practices Review. Once again, I'll ask Mr. Woods to facilitate this item if there are no objections. Are there any objections, commissioners? Mr. Woods, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Our Contract Best Practices Review Committee is comprised of Commissioners Donna Callahan, Steve Lett, and Marcus Muldoon. This has been a great group to work with. We have been working on, we reviewed the contracts from Baker Hostetler, Election Data Services, Federal Compliance Consulting, and Fink Brussick. Basically, these were contracts that require an RFP process and are over $50,000. We ensured that we received the contract discount as outlined in the contracts for Election Data Services, Federal Compliance Consulting, and Fink Brussick. And happy to report, we got the discount already from Election Data Services. Federal Compliance Consulting had that on their monthly invoice, and that we also will receive a 5% discount for qualified payments for Fink Brussick. That will be close to $30,000 coming back to the commission with regards to that. So just kind of want to share with you the work of this great committee. We identified ways to strengthen the monthly reporting requirements. That will also include requiring the 5% option to be included on all eligible monthly invoices. with regards to that, to ensure that we're getting our credit for paying timely invoices. We're going to recommend contract best practices for the lessons learned report. This particular lessons learned report, and I'll talk about it later, is really focusing on the remedial phase. As you know, the commission did a broader lessons learned report under the previous process, but we want to recommend some contract best practices. There was a lot of good ideas that came from this committee that would be helpful. One of the things that we noticed was that there was a weekly reporting requirement since the inception of each contract that was accomplished through a monthly invoice. And so there was not monthly meetings, monthly reportings, weekly meetings, weekly reportings. They were actually done through a monthly invoice that kind of highlighted what was done in these contracts. And this is pretty much standard language in all of them. And so I'm going to request a motion to change all the contracts from a weekly reporting to a monthly reporting since the exception of each contract, because that was the practice that the commission was following.
So moved.
I think I need you to make that. Okay, good.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Orton, to change the contracts from a weekly reporting to monthly reporting since the inception of each contract. Is that correct, Commissioner Lett?
That's correct.
Is there any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Department of State.
I would like to acknowledge for the record that Commissioner Curry has joined. Commissioner Curry, can you please tell us where you're joining remotely from?
Yes, hi. Good morning. I'm joining remotely from Detroit, Michigan.
Wonderful. Thank you, MDOS, and welcome, Commissioner Curry. Okay, Mr. Woods, I hope that motion makes your life a little easier. What else you got?
Thank you. Are there any questions, or Commissioner Lett, Commissioner Muldoon, anything that you felt was missed?
I think you got it.
I have nothing to add.
Wonderful. We are flying through today, people. Look at that. We'll now move on to item 6, new business. First item under new business is 6A, dormancy legal review. If there's no objection, I will ask local counsel, Mr. Fink, to facilitate this item. Mr. Fink, I do see you here with us today. Thank you for joining. Are there any objections, commissioners? Hearing none, Mr. Fink, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for inviting me to, telling me to provide a review of the dormancy procedure and reactivation procedure that the commission has adopted as part of its rules of procedure. As you know, the commission is headed toward dormancy. I believe the plan is to vote to go into dormant status at the end of December, with ultimately the commission's business being wrapped up by the end of January. If I can, I will share my screen so that I can just share the PDF, a PDF of the rules of procedures, relevant rules of procedure section. Everybody see that? Are we good?
We can, we're good.
Okay, great. So this is the current version of the Redistricting Commission's rules of procedure. And this includes the dormancy section and the reactivation section that the commission adopted a while back. in anticipation of this time that we're now approaching, which is when the commission would be ready to go into dormancy. But I wanted to give an overview and frankly, a fairly detailed description of what the policy is for the benefit of the commission and the public, so that everybody understands what the procedure will be going forward. So in section 3.3 of the rules of procedure, as you can see on your screen right now, this talks about the appointment process of commissioners and the term. Obviously, we're well past the appointment process at this point, but this procedure, if you look at section 3.3 sub A, this talks about that the terms of the members of the commission shall be for the complete census cycle for the period beginning when the appointment is made until the next commission is appointed for the subsequent cycle. So under the commission's policy, the procedure, the terms of the commissioners of all of these, the current commissioners will last until the subsequent census cycle. So when the next census is done in 2030. And Commissioner Wagner, I see that you have your hand raised. I can address your question now if you'd like.
I just wanted to know exactly where you're sharing your screen because I don't see it on my end.
Oh, I'm just sharing a PDF. I don't know, Mr. Chairman, are you able to see it?
Yeah, I see it. It's just a white PDF.
Yeah, it's just like it's got right in the middle, section 3.3, the MIC, the rules of procedure.
Interesting. I still can't see it. Maybe somebody could provide it in chat and I can look at it while you guys are doing it.
Okay, yeah, if someone, Director Woods or someone else could drop just a PDF or a link to the commission website. It's just right from the website. Then she can
It
follow.
is also visible on YouTube, so.
Okay.
Excuse me, Commissioner Wagner, the link is in the chat and I will email it to your email addresses as well.
As I was saying, the commissioner, your terms last the entirety of the census cycle from one census cycle to the next, or from the appointment to the next census cycle. However, the active status of the commission is not going to continue until the next census cycle. Rather, the members of the commission shall be in active status when the commission is in the active process of redistricting. And you were required to and have continued to be in active status if there was litigation pending against the commission pertaining to any of the redistricting maps drawn or any other litigation brought against the commission related to the commissioner's official duties. If we're looking now at section 3.3D, at such time that all litigation filed against the commission or the members is completed and no further action is required of the commission or its members, the commission will vote to move to dormant status. If approved, the commission will notify MDOS and the Michigan legislature of the change of status. And as you all know, all litigation has now concluded against the commission. Now, section 3.3.1 is the actual dormancy status process. We can see here section 3.3.1A, upon the commission assuming dormant status, so upon the commission voting to go into dormancy in December, the commission staff shall have 30 days to complete the remaining staff and commission responsibilities, or such additional time as may be required as authorized by the commission. Again, my understanding is that the staff and the commission anticipate being able to conclude that by the end of January, and that would be included in the proceedings in December to set whatever that final date is. The commission shall coordinate with MDOS to coordinate the change in status and, if necessary, to assist in that change of status. All computers and phones in the possession of the commission and staff members shall be returned to MDOS for retention in the litigation hold room. That's in anticipation of any future litigation that may be brought against this commission. An image shall be taken of each computer data for any future litigation. All other records or materials related to the commission held by members and staff of the commission shall be turned over to MDOS. And it'll be important for commission members and staff to keep a record of the various usernames and passwords that they had used that you have been using for your devices. Extension agreements shall be made with vendors, for example, EDS, your attorneys like us and Baker Hostetler, and other experts in the event of new litigation being filed against the commission or its members or staff. Those extensions shall be made with no additional payment being made or required until such time as new litigation would be pending. And I'm going to pause there for a moment and note that for the benefit, again, of the commission and for the public, in decades past, there has been mid-cycle challenges brought against redistricting bodies and challenging redistricting. For example, in the last cycle, in the 20 teens, there was a challenge brought related to Michigan's redistricting in mid-cycle. I believe it was filed around 2016. So it is possible and frankly not uncommon throughout the country for there to be mid-cycle redistricting challenges. It's not exclusive. The challenges are not exclusively brought right after the completion of the redistricting process. And so I wanted to just sort of pause and note that. But to continue on, upon the commission going into dormancy status and all final expenses being paid, any remaining commission funds will be returned pursuant to the state pursuant to the constitutional provision that I think most of us are familiar with. To be clear, during all times that the commission is in dormant status, members of the commission will not receive any compensation or reimbursement of expenses. The commission will designate one or more members of the commission to act as contact persons for the commission during the dormancy phase. The Michigan Department of State will designate a person or a position within the department as a contact person for MDOS to correspond with and communicate with, to the extent necessary, the designees, the folks who are designated by the commission as their contact person. Commission members will keep MDOS apprised of any changes in their personal contact information. That's obviously, very important because it's conceivable that we could go, a significant length of time. As I noted in the last round, there was a challenge in 2016. So if hopefully that doesn't happen here, but if in 2026 a challenge comes, we're still talking a couple of years away from now. It's important that the contact information is continued to be updated and shared. So that's the process for dormancy, and ultimately, it's very possible that the dormancy phase will take us all the way to the next census cycle. Your terms will conclude, and you won't have to be brought back together to do any additional redistricting work. However, as I indicated, it is possible that a challenge could be brought mid-cycle after you enter into the dormancy phase. And if that were to happen, the commission has adopted section 3.3.2, which is the reactivation procedure. So if litigation is filed against the commission or its members or staff related to commission business, the commission shall return to active status to address the litigation. When a member of the commission is notified of litigation, he or she shall notify the Michigan Department of State, who will notify the other members of the commission. MDOS, upon being notified of litigation, shall notify all of the members of the commission. Upon litigation being filed against the commission again returns to active status for purposes of the litigation. Commission and staff's devices, computers and phones will be returned to them for the litigation and, if necessary, additional mapping work that could come out of that litigation. And upon return to active status, the commission members will then be entitled to compensation as provided in the Constitution. The Michigan Department of State and the Secretary of State shall convene a meeting of the commission members to take such action as shall be required to address the litigation. Finally, sorry, I'm having an issue here. The commission at that time would request a budget from the legislature that would need to be appropriated in order to allow the commission to take such other action as required to address the litigation, presumably to pay lawyers and other experts and staff to do what's necessary in order to take action to defend against whatever litigation could be brought against the commission. And if necessary, beyond that, to do any additional mapping work. So that's the summary of both the dormancy process and the reactivation process. And again, hopefully we can just go into dormancy and not have to worry about any reactivation after that. But we do have that procedure and process in place if necessary. And as I had indicated previously, the actual term of each commissioner expires upon the appointment of the succeeding redistricting commission, which again would be done after the next census cycle. Commissioner Orton, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so let's see. How do I make sense of this question? So if we do have to come out of dormancy, commissioners are notified apparently somehow, and then we notify the Secretary of State's office. And so your firm and Baker Hostetler, do we still have you guys? Do we start the process all over again to find lawyers? How does that work?
Well, the commission included this provision here, 3.3.1D, which states that the commission will adopt extension agreements with its vendors, including attorneys. And I will work with the commission to recommend language that would allow the commission to continue to use its vendors that it already has. I mean, obviously it's up to the commission who it wants to use as its consultants and as its vendors, but I believe that this commission would address that through these extension agreements.
So that's something we would take care of before the December meeting?
Yeah, well, that would be part, I believe that it would be part of the December meeting. We would include the proposed extension agreements as part of the agenda for the commission to consider at that time.
Thank you.
And Director Woods, if I misspoke on that, I believe that's the plan.
I believe the contracts have already been extended.
Okay.
So
Well,
we'll verify that and let the commission
okay,
know
all right.
at the next. But
Yeah, it's possible that there's actually language then that's already in there that's already been addressed.
we extended it a while back when we added
Okay,
additional
good.
money.
So then if
But we
that's
will
addressed, then ultimately,
verify it.
if there's any additional action that needs to be taken, we can recommend that it be done at the December meeting. But beyond that, again, if there's additional, if the commission has to be reactivated, then you'd have that in place with your vendors. So, Commissioner Lett.
That would certainly be the contemplation that your firm would be back on board. However, clearly you might be dead Your dad might be dead. So it would be, to answer Cynthia's question, we would have to take a look at it at the time we came back into existence out of dormancy. Make sure that everything was as we anticipate today that it would be. If it's about 10 years from now, I certainly don't anticipate being here, but I'd leave it up to you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Well, Commissioner Light, it's only 6 more years of this commission, so hopefully you can, don't watch too much Michigan State football, and you should be okay.
You're not going to have a job at the next.
Well, as you know, Baker Hostetler, they've got a couple big Buckeye fans on their teams. That's an even bigger issue. But
we're not even talking to them anymore.
Yeah, good. I'll join you in that. So, I think that covers it. I'm happy to answer any additional questions. If you think of anything else in the interim between now and December, the December meeting, of course, feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
Yes, and thank you for the information, reminding everyone what we passed before and the plan going forward in case we need to reconvene at some point in the future. Certainly appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda is new business item 6B, lessons learned. If there's no objection, I'll ask Edward Woods III to facilitate this item. Are there any objections, commissioners? Mr. Woods, floor is once again yours.
Thank you. This idea came from Commissioner Andrade with regards to creating a lessons learned report based on the Michigan House and Senate remedial maps, from the interviews. It would follow a similar but modified outline from the lessons learned report that we did previously, that includes the selection of the 3 new commissioners, that focuses solely on the remedial phase. We would provide a draft to the commission to review in November and ask them to provide feedback within 2 weeks of providing the draft. And then we would approve the report at the December 19th meeting, but we felt that there were some lessons that could be learned from the remedial phase. Obviously, we took advantage of the lessons learned report and made some changes and some adjustments in the remedial phase. So that just needs to be acknowledged and shared. But I think that there's a number of things the public can learn, as well as other commissioners, other commissions who may be forming in other states could benefit from our trial and error and experiences in doing the remedial phase for redistricting. Commissioner Andrade, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think that covers it. I think we all probably have a different perspective and on what happened and what lessons we can take from this remedial phase.
All right. Any questions?
So when do you want these by?
We're going to, well, there's a few commissioners that we haven't heard from, or they might not be willing to do the interviews. So we would give them an opportunity to fill out the questions from the interview and go from there. But most of you have already did it when you did the interview. So it's no need to, do things twice. So for those who may not want to participate in the interviews, they might want to provide a written response. We would like to give them that opportunity. And if they don't want to provide no response at all, that's their choice. But if you've already done the interviews with Tom Ivacco with the University of Michigan for the Bentley Historical Library, we would gather it from that information.
Wonderful. Any questions regarding the lessons learned report? I do not see anyone. Thank you, Mr. Woods, and thank you, Commissioner Andrade, for bringing this up. All right, next up is item 6C, the September financial report. Once again, this is to be facilitated by Executive Director Woods. Are there any objections, commissioners? Seeing none, go ahead, Mr. Woods.
This is our September financial report. As I shared, this was a preliminary report because, as you know, we're at the end of the fiscal year. And so we're in the process of making sure all of our invoices are in. And I'm happy to report that mostly all are in, with a few exceptions that we'll take a look at. We were able to include, and Commissioner Lett will speak on that later, the settlement agreement is in this particular report. The whole entire 1.7 million is there. That's what other legal services is. I know that number probably jumps out at you. So wanted to share that with you. Our cell phone bill usually comes around this time, so we'll be adding that, as well as the amount for technology that is missing at this time. There was no consultant line drawing invoice for September. There was no litigation counsel or Voting Rights Act legal counsel bills in September as well. So those blanks are real. And so you're just basically seeing some things, and there'll be some adjustments, as I shared with you, based on the credits earlier, that we were able to do through the contracts best practices review committee. And so this is what you're seeing right now. At this point, we have $759,403.75, and that number will change. And you'll see a final report in December. But at this time, we just have a few things outstanding that we want to get out, that we want to receive invoices for and make sure that they're properly paid in fiscal year 24, as well as the credits. So we are giving money back. As you know, we cannot transfer money back. This commission has always been fiscal stewards in Hawks as it relates to its finances and being responsible for taxpayers' money. And that has continued again. To be honest with you, our money that we thought we needed for legal fees were reduced. You know, we thought we needed more money to defend the case, and that just didn't happen as well. And then our attorneys did a great job of a settlement agreement. And so the settlement agreement wasn't as high as we expected as well. So as a result, if we don't spend the money, we return it back as outlined in the Constitution. And this is something that that will happen sometime in December when the books are closed. We have everything we have to get in. We're trying to have in by the end of October. So like I said, just a couple of things outstanding, but for the most part, this is where we are. If there's any questions, Commissioner Eid, I can take them at this time.
Any questions for Executive Director Woods? Do we have an estimate on how much will probably be given back to the state of Michigan once we're completed in a couple months? Ballpark.
That will be from the fiscal year 25 budget. I have not done an estimate as of yet with regards to how much we're getting back. We may be giving back for fiscal year 25 because of my focus has been on fiscal year 24 and making sure everything is in.
Gotcha. All right.
We will be giving money back. You're correct, Commissioner Eid, fiscal year 25. And it will be a substantial amount of money.
I would hope so. All right. Well, and I want to just thank you, Mr. Woods, for, being a good steward of these public funds and keeping track of all this. I know it is not an easy job. All right. Next on the agenda is item 6D regarding the commission meeting on Thursday, November 21st. There's no objection. I'll ask Executive Director Woods to facilitate this item. Is there any objection, commissioners?
This is just make a motion, we have an outline in our rules and procedures on how to cancel meetings. It's always best if we can do it as a commission as a whole, but we also have another process. There was some discussion about this at the last meeting. I shared that we needed this meeting to tighten some things up to prepare for the 19th of December, but there's really no reason at this time for the commission to meet on Thursday, November 21st. And so I'm recommending that we cancel the meeting if that's the commission's desire.
I would move that we cancel the November meeting.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Weiss to cancel the Thursday, 21st, 2024 meeting. Is there any discussion on the matter? Commissioner Orton?
Yeah, just a question. I can't remember exactly because I know we've changed it, but if something came up and we have to have a meeting, how many hours or days do we need to post it beforehand?
Hold on, let me go to our rules and procedures.
If the commission were to call a special meeting, it only requires 5 hours notice in your rules of procedure. That's section 6.2.4.
So if we needed to call a meeting, it would be a special meeting, considered a special meeting.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shar. You're quicker than I am. Does
So-
everybody see it on the screen? Okay, great.
So is the rationale for this just that we don't have anything pressing to discuss in November? Because that would make it so that the December 12th meeting, or I'm sorry, the December 12th meeting in
19.
person.
19.
Thank you. The December 19th meeting would be our last one and the next time we meet.
That would be correct. And I'm saying that at this time, but as Commissioner Orton noted, if there's something that arises where we need to call a special meeting, we have a process by giving a 5-hour notice.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed? Please raise your hand and say nay. I'm gonna say nay because I like seeing y'all. All right, the ayes have it and the motion is adopted. That means for now, unless there is a special meeting called, the next meeting will be December 19th, 2024, and that'll be in person in Lansing. Of course, there is a virtual option as well. All right. We'll now move on to agenda item 7, approval of the minutes. The minutes for the September 19th, 2024 meeting has been sent to the commission. And that is what is on the table right now. Are there any edits to the minutes, commissioners? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes.
So move.
Second.
All right, I see a motion by Commissioner Lett, and I think I saw it seconded first by Commissioner Curry. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it, and the minutes are adopted. Next on the agenda is item 8, Executive Director's Report. Mr. Woods, is there a Executive Director's Report today?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Just want to remind the commissioners to continue with your computer updates. As you know, I shared with DTMB that I work for you, not the other way around, but they really appreciate the cooperation when the computers are updated. So please continue to keep your computers updated. Make sure you sign in to the VPN, and so that we're on the network. And that's just something that is important. If we can do that through December, it would be very helpful. And so just want to encourage you to check. If you could just do a check, once a month or so. DTMB is very responsive. If you want to call the help desk, some of you have shared your success with regards to that, or if you're having problems with your cell phones. But just want to make sure that we're good stewards, so that when we turn our equipment, we're aligned. Commissioner Orton.
Yeah, so we keep hearing it's very important to keep our computers up to date. So when we go into dormancy and those are in the litigation hold, they're just going to sit there, right? So they're not going to be kept up to date. Then if we do have to come back and we get our computers back, what's going to happen? It's not going to work, right?
Well, I think when it's in litigation hold, they have a process that they use to take care of that, and it will be under their jurisdiction because they will have the computer. So
Okay.
it's just why we have them. Let's make sure we're good stewards.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. Fiscal year 24 closing, once again, it's just getting all the invoices in, making sure the receipts line up, and that we're good steward of the taxpayers' money. Like I said, we're almost done. We have a few more things. So you'll have a final report for our fiscal year 24 at the December meeting. Also working with dormancy issues. As you know, we're not able to carry money forward. So any money that we have in fiscal year 25, we want to expend. And so Commissioner Orton brought up litigation holds. We need to just go ahead and say, what are our cell phone bill? What are our computer bills for fiscal year 25, and just pay that out so that that money is done in terms of anything we can pay. Obviously, we can't carry over money. So we'll be working with MDOS, DTMB on those issues to make sure that we can prepay all of our bills that will occur in fiscal year 25 to make sure that that's done and taken care of by the time I leave on January 31st. So that's something that we're working on. Remedial maps, we have the state Senate and the state House maps that have gone to the printer. I will need to follow up on the county maps as a result of the map changes that have taken place and have been approved by the court. And so that you will be getting copies of those as well, just like you did in the previous phase. Commission data in each of our contracts, they are responsible. These are the contracts 50,000 and over of providing the data to the commission at no cost, I've been working with Nate Fink, our general counsel, as working with our attorneys, federal compliance consulting who worked with us, as well as Baker Hostetler, to making sure that we get all of our legal documents, and all of that will be with the general counsel's office, and the Finks are doing the same as relates to them. But once again, there's no cost for the commission to get its data so that we can have it. And then we'll be working with the contracts best practice review with regards to getting that same information from Election Data Services. An email has already been sent citing the contract spot and what that entails as it's outlined in the contract, so that we can have all of that information. And we should have a report for you on Thursday, December 19th, as to where we are. But once again, in moving to dormancy status, there's a process if they have to recreate the maps with regards to that and what they will give them, how they will put something on the state computer. All of that is outlined in the contract. And once again, as relates to the commission data, the contract clearly states that there's no cost to the commission in those provisions. Just want to do a friendly reminder and a thanks again to Yvonne Young that our commission meeting is a hybrid meeting on Thursday, December 19th at the Library of Michigan, also known as the Historical Museum, right there in Kalamazoo in Lansing. I'm requesting that you bring your state's cell phone, computer, and all your files. Once again, just want to remind you to do that. If you can organize your files on your computer so that it's clear, that would be helpful in your paper files. If you could bring those, and the MDOS will collect it at that meeting where you will turn all of that in, and we will return our equipment. So just wanted to make sure my equipment will be turned in on my last day, which is the 31st of January, just so we're all clear with regards to equipment, the things being turned back in. Going to our website highlights for September, we had 18,000 page views. This was actually down a third. We had 27,000 page views in August. 34.4% were new residents. They were mainly looking at the final and district maps. They were looking at district maps by county, and then they were looking at map images, which are pictures. We have that on the website because people can blow up the map images and use them for various things. We will be putting that on for the remedial phase as well. The states that we're looking at the most, obviously Michigan, followed by Virginia, Florida, Illinois, and Ohio. In August, the leading states were Michigan, Virginia, Florida, California, and Illinois. Commissioner Eat, that concludes my report. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Are there any questions? All right, well, thank you so much for the information. We'll now move on to the legal liaison report. If there are no objections, I'll ask the legal liaison, Commissioner Lett, to provide his report. Are there any objections?
I'd give somebody $100 if they would object, so I don't have to do it. I have a suggestion. Based on Cynthia's observation of who's going to keep the computers current when we're in the dormancy, I think we should hire her, pay her a stipend per monthly basis to go in and update all of the computers. And I'd make a motion to that if she would agree.
This commission cannot afford to pay me enough to do that.
I think we can find a minimum wage. Legal report. I think we've got most of the things wrapped up that need to be wrapped up. And we're still working on some issues with EDS. We had a number of issues that we have resolved, basically relating to what I would classify as lax bookkeeping on their part, as well as some misunderstandings about what could be included in billing, and we're working down to the last couple of those. One with are they going to charge us for correcting their billing? The answer to that is no. I mean, they may charge us, we're not going to pay it. The other is what our expectations are and what their expectations are in providing the records that they have. They certainly will probably, I would expect them to keep copies of their records of us, but we will require that per the contract that they provide us with those records, at least duplicates of them. The other thing that we need to go back to, and Edward, correct me, but you may have already said this earlier. They were billing and we were paying, as we have for everybody, transportation from their place of business or home in certain instances to Michigan if they came up here in person. So you had EDS out quite a few times, obviously. Baker Hostetler, and those were simply billed and paid. We've had some issues with EDS on how much that they were allowed to bill, but we've worked through those. So I think the motion that I will make at this time would cover Baker Hostetler and EDS, that we would pay their transportation cost retroactive to the signing of the respective contracts. That is not included in their contracts. In fact, in their contracts, it says the transportation costs will not be paid, but that was never the case. So that our practice with everybody has been to do that. So motion is to pay for transportation, travel costs for EDS and Baker Hostetler from the inception of their contracts. And if there's a second, I can speak to it further.
I'll second it.
Anybody have any questions on why we're doing this?
I have a question on how much it is.
It's included as a part of the contract, so it's not an additional thing. Anthony, it's more for compliance. So it's already included in what's actually been paid.
It's been reported on our financial statements on a monthly basis. It's nothing. We're not going to approve this and then go back and pay $50,000 for travel expense. It's already been paid.
It's already been paid.
It's
Right.
already been paid. It's just
Gotcha.
making sure that we're in compliance.
Wonderful.
It was something that I think everybody assumed that we were doing or were supposed to do. And then somebody brought up that you're not supposed to pay those. Wait a minute. Everybody pays those. What are you talking about? So that's where we're at.
Gotcha. I was confused. I thought it had not been paid, but it has been paid. It's changing the contract language to be in compliance with that payment. Got it.
That's correct.
And it's similar, Commissioner E, with regards to the weekly reporting requirement that was in the contract that's really been doing monthly.
Now, the exception, as you will note, that I did not include Think Bressett in that because it made a snide remark for Michigan State and Michigan. So
No, theirs is actually in the contract. So they're covered. Otherwise, we would have included them too.
All right. Well, we have a motion.
Is
and
there a
second.
motion to retroactively deduct all of Commissioner Lett's pay back to the initiation of the commission? No.
I think there is, but it's going to be included in that you guys would pay it at twice the rate that I'm being paid now.
Can't afford that. Withdrawn.
All right. We do have a motion and a second to be in compliance with the contractual language and have the payments for transportation be in there for EDS and the legal team. Is that correct, Mr. Lett?
Yeah, yes, with a caveat, since the inception of their contracts.
Gotcha. That was made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Weiss. Is there any more discussion before we vote? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted.
Commissioner E, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to thank Commissioner Lett for bringing that up. One of the per contract best practice review, we wanted Commissioner Lett on there as the commission's legal liaison, just to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. We're not trying to point fingers, but trying to make sure that the work of the commission, the practice of the commission are well documented and people can see that. Commissioner Lett is correct that most of the issues with regards to election data services has been resolved. with regards to that. And I know Commissioner Andrade, you mentioned recourses for the commission to ensure compliance if we have any issues or concerns. And I just want you to know that in each of the contracts, there's an audit provision. And so if the commission ever wanted to do an audit on any of the contracts to look at the expenditures, reporting requirements, and what has been done, that provision is included in those contracts, $50,000 and over. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that was available, Commissioner Andrade. Did that address it? Thumbs up. All right. Thank you.
I don't believe that I have anything else. Edward, is there something I've missed that you think I need to bring up?
Nope, everything's covered. Thank you again.
Okay,
very much.
That will conclude my report. I thank everybody for their kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Lett, for the report. All right, next on the agenda is item 10, MDOS updates. Ms. Shaw, any updates for us today?
Election season is in full swing, and now is the time to plan for how you want to vote. You can vote early, by mail, or on election day, whatever's the most convenient for you. Absentee ballots are available to request online at michigan.gov/vote, via mail or in person at your local clerk's office. There are multiple ways to return those absentee ballots as well, such as using the prepaid ballot envelope, bringing it back to your clerk's office, or dropping it in an absentee drop box in your city or township, or taking it to your early voting or polling site. Early voting will begin statewide on October 26, 2024. However, some jurisdictions like Detroit, which I know some of you commissioners are in, may choose to start sooner. So I think Detroit's early voting actually starts soon. If you don't have a plan in place, commissioners and public, all of you can find additional info at michigan.gov/vote. It's been a pleasure. So any questions for me?
Commissioner Lett.
Yes, I'm wondering why the Michigan Department of State is now gone incognito. Is that because of threats on voting that you're scared of?
It is not. It's because of the gray hairs the election is bringing out at the top of my head that no one in the public or myself need to watch on this video.
And the other question is, where is your legal counsel? He's usually here.
Our chief legal director, I am not certain what he is up to today. There is no shortage of work for the department right now, so I am sure he is assisting the secretary in a very important matter.
Well, I think we should acknowledge that the Michigan Department of State, through their representatives, even though they are seem to be incognito or out of the picture today, deserve a round of applause for the excellent work that they have done, keeping us out of trouble for the most part.
Well, thank you guys, and it's been a pleasure getting to work with you this year. I look forward to seeing all of those of you that come in person in December. I will be there, and you can see just how gray I become by that point.
I have another question. I got an email directed to me from Ms. Reinhardt saying that I could go sign up to be a poll worker. And I didn't think that the commissioners could do that, that that would be something close to running for office. So and maybe you can ask Ms. Reinhardt how that happened and report back to us in December.
I can look into that. I am not sure what email you received, but other individuals outside of commissioners that are looking to sign up to be a poll worker can look at our democracy MVP information. Again, you can find all of that at michigan.gov/vote.
Well, I'll tell you, Mashar, as someone whose beard is starting to gray up a little bit, I have a little bit of empathy with what you just said. So know the feeling. And one more thing, need to figure out how to get some of those werewolf stickers, the I voted werewolf stickers, because those are fire. Need to give those to everyone who voted.
The sticker contest was a big hit this year. I'm hoping it's something that the department continues going forward. It's gotten people excited to get out and vote, and I'll see what I can do to maybe get some stickers for the commissioners at our last meeting.
Only if you vote, though. Everyone, please get out and vote. All right. Correspondence, if any, was available and received in advance of today's meeting, along with written public comments to the commission. Are there any future agenda items the commissioners would like to have added to our next meeting? All right, are there any announcements? I'd just like to acknowledge everybody that helps make these meetings happen. The Department of State, the AV team, all of the interpreters, whether it be language or closed captioning, and everyone that makes this happen. We appreciate you. It is not an easy job. And having this transparent process that's live streamed across the state does take a little bit of work. So I appreciate you. It's been a ride, but happy that we got to the end. I'd also like to say I was a little taken aback by comments made earlier this week regarding the aptitude of commissioners. And I'd just like to say, I think all of you are extremely qualified. All of you have brought your skills to the table to get the job done, and we did get the job done under immense pressure. And that's something that I'm proud of. I'm proud of all of you. Keep it up, and don't let anyone say otherwise. With that said,
just to reiterate, when those questions come up, and we shared it repeatedly with the media here, that each commissioner per the Constitution met the requirement. There's not one commissioner that did not meet the requirement to serve. This was a new process. It was not a pre-existing process. And so I share your sentiment about that, because it's a misnomer and a false narrative. The requirements to serve as commissioners are clearly outlined in the Constitution. It was always designed to be a citizen-led process and not a politician-led process. And each commissioner met the qualifications to serve and did a tremendous job as outlined in the Constitution. There was no need for professionals, because that's not what the Constitution required. And we always should revert back to the Constitution when identifying these qualifications for a commission, because we want other citizens to apply. And as you mentioned, not be caught up in the false narrative about experience and expertise, because the experience and expertise that is needed is clearly identified in the Constitution. I just want to reiterate that for the public, for anyone who may be considering to apply for the commission next time. The qualifications are clearly identified in the Constitution, and that's the only standard that matters. Thank you.
Wonderful. Hear, hear. All right. It's time for adjournment. As the items on the agenda are completed, the commission has no further business today, and a motion to adjourn is in order. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. If you're in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 11:25.